Search volume is one of the most important metrics for Amazon sellers to help make decisions like listing optimization, PPC, and more. Now, who has the most accurate search volume out there? Jungle Scout and Data Dive or Helium 10? Well, spoiler alert, in today's case study, I'm going to show you that Helium 10 wins with a 93.5% accuracy, with Jungle Scout coming in second at 41.9%. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. You want to know what keywords are driving the most sales for listings on Amazon? To do that, you need to know what highly searched for keywords the product is ranking for, maybe at the top of page 1. You can actually find that out in seconds by using Helium 10's keyword research tool, Cerebro. Now, that's just one of the many functions that make this tool my favorite tool in the whole suite, and it's the most powerful keyword research tool ever created for e-commerce sellers. For more information, go to h10.me/Cerebro, h10.me/CEREBRO. Don't forget to use the Serious Sellers Podcast discount coupon SSP10. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Serious Sellers Podcast by Helium 10. I am your host, Bradley Sutton, and this is the show that's a completely BS-free, unscripted, and unrehearsed, organic conversation about serious strategies for serious sellers of any level in the e-commerce world. And today, guys, we are going to have a special episode where I'm going deep. I spent a couple of nights without sleep working on this because things got me real riled up on this, all right? This is an important topic to me, and there's just so much misinformation out there that I was like, I got to set the record straight. Now, the question is, who has the most accurate search volume? Well, of course, the first answer would be Amazon itself has the most accurate because they're the ones who are providing the information. Now, sometimes, though, it's not always the most useful, though. Like, for example, hey, I'm trying to do research into a niche that I'm not selling in yet. You're a little bit limited with being able to see search volume in Amazon. Search query performance for an existing listing, great. All right. That shows you denormalized numbers. We're going to talk about what that means a little bit later. But if you're looking at, hey, well, the keywords that I'm getting traction for already, what is my search volume? There's nothing better out of a great apples to apples comparison as that. Now, the drawback there is you can only see what you're already ranking for. You can't really like put in your competitors and see their search volume. But again, obviously, this is Amazon's platform. They've got the most accurate search volume. I'm sure they have multiple search volume metrics, some of which Amazon sellers can get at. But let's just talk about this. Take a step back. Why is search volume important? Why do Amazon sellers rely on this metric so much? Well, there's a lot of different reasons. Like maybe you're just looking for demand in a certain niche. Like, for example, hey, I'm looking into selling in this category. I don't see many products here with sales, so I can't really estimate demand because there's not enough sales. Maybe it's something newer, but there's a lot of search volume, right? Because you could have a lot of search volume for something, but no sales yet because there's no competitors yet. All right. So that's something exciting. That's where search volume could be important. What about you've already decided to make a product? All right. The number one reason that we need search volume is prioritization. Let's say I've identified 200 equally relevant keywords. Obviously, all keywords aren't equally relevant, but let's just play devil's advocate and say we've got 200 keywords that we've done in all of our keyword research, and I need to put them in my listing. Now, can you put 200 unique phrases in phrase form in your listing to send those relevancy signals to Amazon to let Amazon know, hey, this is my product? You always want to put your most important keywords in phrase form in your listing. No, you don't have room for 200 separate phrases. You maybe have room for 15, 20, 25. Well, how do you prioritize which ones you're going to put in phrase form and which ones you're going to concentrate on? All right. If all things were equal, the one thing that is different is search volume. All right. Hey, my most search ones of these equally relevant keywords, that's what I'm putting in phrase form. The most search ones of the most relevant, that's what's going in my title, right? Similar with, when you're deciding what you're going to do for PPC. Hey, am I going to try to equally target all 200 words? No, I might try and target 20 words at first, 30 words at first. Again, relevancy is the most important, but then the next metric is search volume. All right. I'm not going to try and put a whole bunch of 1 million search volume keywords in one campaign and then another campaign with a number of keywords that have 100 search volume. That just wouldn't make sense, right? So I'm sure all of you would agree with me that search volume is something that is important, helps us in many different ways as Amazon sellers. Now, here's the interesting thing. It's not always the number itself as the most important. When you think about search volume for prioritization, it's really the order in which they're in, right? That's one of the factors, not just the number itself. Like, for example, you look at Google Trends. Google Trends is not search volume, right? People have been using Google Trends for years, and it's a scale of 1 to 100. Helps you prioritize, right? Brand analytics, which you guys know I love. There's no search volume number in brand analytics. That's the data point that Amazon gives and has been giving for 4 or 5 years now. There's no search volume in there. It's just giving you an order. It gives you search frequency rank. You're totally able to prioritize keywords, not based on a search volume number. Like if all you had was brand analytics and 0 search volume number, guess what? You'd be able to do almost everything you do right now, right? Even if there was no Helium 10, no Jungle Scout, no anything, you just had brand analytics, no search volume numbers at all. That's enough information to prioritize. Now you might have to make your own little formulas or something like that to try and see, hey, I only want the search frequency rank from 500,000 and up, or 500,000 and below, I should say, or 100,000 and below. Of course, you might have to do something, but still, you could get along without the actual search volume number. So it's not necessarily the search volume number that's the most important. Again, it is which ones are searched more in comparison with whatever other keywords you have, right? Now, of course, the best way to prioritize, even more than just search volume itself or search order, is keyword sales, right? Not all keywords are created equal, right? You could have a 500,000 search volume keyword that generates, the products on the page generate 100 sales only because there's low buyer intent. You could have another keyword that's 500,000 search volume and it could generate 1,000 sales because there's a lot more buyer intent. So actually the best metric, of course, to prioritize if you're talking about, hey, what's going to potentially bring me the most sales is keyword sales. Now, are you able to see estimated keyword sales by keyword? Yeah, Helium 10 can help you with that. Jungle Scout doesn't have that. I would assume that Data Dive doesn't. I have access to a Jungle Scout account. I don't have access to Data Dive. I can only monitor the biggest competitors out there. So Jungle Scout, the last time I checked, no keyword sales. I would assume Data Dive doesn't, but if I'm mistaken, I apologize. Now, why am I even doing this episode? How did this drama all get started, and why am I so worked up? Now, before I even get into this, let me just give a kind of disclaimer here. I'm pretty passionate about this subject, and I might get a little worked up in this episode. I'm not. I hope nobody takes anything personal. I'm even going to blur names over here. Like people can probably figure out by looking at posts and stuff. Who are the parties involved? But again, I'm not trying to call somebody in particular out. So I hope this doesn't come off as, I'm trying to fight somebody in the backyard or something like that. No, all right. I just really get worked up about this kind of topic. And when people are throwing Helium 10 under the bus, or when people are misleading others intentionally or not, who are, known figures, like it just bothers me. All right. So again, I'm not going to try and throw any name drop here, personal names. I apologize if anybody ahead of time, if anybody gets offended. I'm just stating the facts. All right. Just the facts, ma'am. All right. Now, how did this all get started? It all got started with this LinkedIn post that somebody, I have no idea who this person is. I'm not connected to them, but somebody, I think they tagged me. People tag me all the time on LinkedIn. I'm not that great on LinkedIn. I don't do the whole, interaction with other people's posts like I'm supposed to. But anyway, somehow this post did get on my radar, and I have nothing against this guy who made this post. He's not an influencer in this space where I could say, oh, he should definitely know better, whatever. But anyways, here is how this post looks like on LinkedIn. He was like, hey, Helium 10 versus Jungle Scout versus search query performance comparison of search volume. So when I saw it, I barely skimmed it because I get so many of these tags every day. I don't interact with hardly any of them. But he was like, hey, why does Helium 10 display 3 to 4 times lower search volume compared to Jungle Scout and search query performance? Bradley, what are your thoughts? Blah, blah, blah. I use 80 keywords to compile the data, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, at the time, I didn't really even look very closely at this because I think I saw this graph that he gave and it didn't even show the keywords or anything. I'm like, okay, it is what it is. This is just one of those things that I get tagged on a million times. But then what happened later is at the top of my feed, somebody who I am connected to, and again, who I think is one of the most respected people in the space, put out this message where he reposted it and was like, hey, this dude did an analysis where he did 80 keywords that analyzed with Data Dive and Jungle Scout compared to Helium 10, and he was questioning which one is most accurate. And I told him to check search query performance. All right, so there's strike one. I'm like, why would you do that? What does Helium 10 have to do with search query performance? All right, we're going to talk about that, why this is such a no-brainer, why in the world is this person doing that? But let me keep going here. He says, oh, after doing this, he found that data dive was within 5% accuracy for this keyword, and Helium 10 had a deviation of 70%. All right, this data is crucial. So now all of a sudden I'm starting to get pissed. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Helium 10 has nothing to do with search query performance. Whether data dive or Jungle Scout is, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but like, why are you even bringing Helium 10 into this conversation? It's ridiculous that this other guy had mistakenly compared the two, thinking it was the same. But again, he doesn't work for a SaaS company. He doesn't know, the ins and outs of, he's not monitoring, other companies and knows what they base their search volume. But I would expect this individual to have known that. And I even went and was like, I think you probably want to delete this post. A couple times I said that. I was like, I don't think this is a good look, for you to like put out misinformation like this and try and say that, the data dive Jungle Scout is 5% off of this Amazon data point, but Helium 10 somehow is 70% off. But they never took down the post. I'm like, all right, that's when I started not sleeping, and I did 2 nights in a row of just like data crunching and preparing for this episode. I'm like, all right, you asked for it. Now, again, I told you guys I wouldn't make it personal, but I get worked up about this. Anyways, it wasn't just this. Things were escalating even more. Like a high-level executive from Jungle Scout hops on this thread and says, oh, we consistently see similar results in our own validation and hear similar feedback from customers. Basically talking about, that Jungle Scout is so close to this search query performance, but then Helium 10 is so far off. Supposedly, they validate this all the time. And this is and they hear this from customers all the time. Like, what is going on? More misinformation from somebody who's respected in the industry. Like, why are you saying this nonsense? This is happening now, but then a couple of months ago, somebody forwarded me a blog on March 21st that Jungle Scout put out. Jungle Scout versus Helium 10, a comprehensive review. March 21st, 2024. You see that right here. Dun, dun, dun. Like you see the big logos, versus each other. Now this blog, anyways, was just, oh my goodness. There were so many inaccurate things in there. It just boggled my mind. Really got me upset, but like I never did anything at that time. It was just all of this now together kind of like put me over the edge. But the one part of that blog that has to do with this was a big section they had on keyword accuracy analysis. Who is more accurate, Jungle Scout or Helium 10 for search volume, keyword search volume information? And look at what they said in this blog. They're like, hey, Amazon provides search query performance. And we found that Jungle Scout was way more accurate than Helium 10's keyword tool. On average, Keyword Scout showed a positive 10.93% difference from the search volume provided by Amazon, and Helium 10 showed a negative 58% difference. See the info below, and we chose keywords from search query performance. And again, so like, hey, if Jungle Scout wants to compare themselves to search query performance, fine. If that's what they're basing their search volume on, go ahead. But why are you bringing Helium 10 into this conversation? Helium 10 search volume has nothing to do with search query performance search volume. But then I'm looking at this case study that they supposedly did, and it just didn't make sense. It was like potty pads, Helium 10, 11,393 search volume. All right. This is like their big expose to show how Helium 10 is different. Now, first of all, the number is just super weird here. Even according to them, Amazon had 10,000, Helium 10 had 11,000, but somehow the difference was negative 8%. Like we were under, like that's not right. Like we're over according to this. But anyways, that's not important. I was trying to find out, okay, in Helium 10, we have history that goes back 5 years for search volume. Okay. I think Jungle Scout only has 2 years, but anyways, Helium 10 393. I was like, let me try to find where that is. And I kept having to go back and back in time to try and find out when in the heck they were pulling this data. And lo and behold, I found this 11,393 number on 9/24. Wait for it, guys. 2022. So this is a new blog. The date is 2024, and they're pulling some data point from September, like 2 years ago. Literally 2 years ago. So I was like, well, that's weird. Did really Jungle Scout's numbers, look like this way back then? Now that's where things started getting weird. I was like, this whole article just doesn't make sense because, again, they were saying that, hey, Jungle Scout said 10,800. And so if they were taking Helium 10 in September of 2022, I was like, well, what really? Jungle Scout said such a close number to search query performance? So I look back in Jungle Scout to that same date of September of 2022 and started adding the numbers up. I was like, no, look, these are weekly search volume that Jungle Scout is giving. And it's like 6,000, 6,000, 5,000. I mean, we're talking like 20, 30,000. Where in the world is Jungle Scout saying that they were 10,800? Now, I think maybe what happened was Later, Jungle Scout changed, after 2022, changed their whole search volume model because they made an announcement they were trying to follow the search query performance. So I'm assuming they did go to like the denormalized number. I didn't realize at the time that they actually backdated and went back in time and maybe changed all their search volume numbers from before. Helium 10's numbers don't change. Once we have the search volume, that's there permanently. But anyways, I'm not sure that's the reason, but I could not find where Jungle Scout was 10,800, because if I went back in time right now using Jungle Scout, it's way more than that. But anyways, these things are just like, really making me mad. Like LinkedIn, a bunch of people saying these crazy things, and then here's Jungle Scout blogs. Again, that's what kind of upsets me, when people of authority, who people trust, is putting out misinformation to try and pump themselves up. Like, no, if you want to pump yourself up with facts. Like, why are you pulling in wrong information? That's when I was like, okay, fine. Let me go and do a deep dive, no pun intended, on this original guy's post. Who, again, I don't know who he is. I have nothing against him personally, but I'm looking here, and like I said, there was no even keywords mentioned here. So I was like, well, I can't even double check this information. And then just weird things were happening. First of all, remember the other individual who I respect was trying to say, oh yeah, Helium 10 is off by 70%. That's not even what this guy was saying in his post. He was saying Helium 10 was off by 70% from Jungle Scout. I'm like, why are we even doing it? Why are you comparing Jungle Scout with Amazon, but then you're just comparing Helium 10 with Jungle Scout? And then take a look at this, the way they were calculating the numbers. For some of these, he's saying search query performance says 0, and Helium 10 and Jungle Scout are saying a certain number, but then somehow that means Jungle Scout is 100% off. Yo, if search query performance is saying 0 and Jungle Scout says a certain number, that's infinity percent off. Like you shouldn't even have counted that, bro. Like, I don't even know that's not the way you do. I'm not a data scientist. I'm not a mathematician at all, but I'm pretty sure you can't just say it's 100% off when you're comparing something with the number 0. But anyway, so his numbers of 5% off for Jungle Scout and 70% off of Helium, the whole thing is bogus. All right. Like it wasn't an accurate test, and he shouldn't have even done it anyways, as I'm going to show in a little bit, because Helium 10 again has nothing to do with search query performance. Now, Jungle Scout has said multiple times, even in this thread, hey, we're close to search query performance. So go ahead and compare Jungle Scout to search query performance. Guess what? I'm about to do that, in a few minutes here. So that part was fine. But again, why are you all trying to bring Helium 10 into this conversation? Now, you might be wondering, well, what is Helium 10 search volume? I'm going to get to that in a little bit. Now, another funny thing about this one, graph that this guy came up with is the numbers, instead of showing that, Jungle Scout is so close, if you can take his numbers for granted, it actually shows that Jungle Scout is way off. Remember, I told you, what's more important than the actual number is the order in which the number of searches is presented, all right? The order, the search frequency rank. That's the important thing. Take a look at this guy's own graph. Like, for example, again, I don't know the keywords here because he didn't put it, but look at this keyword A. Let's just call this keyword A. He's saying search query performance was 6,000, okay? And this keyword B was 5,000 something, okay? So, if you were going to prioritize one keyword over the other, which one would be the priority? With the actual Amazon data, it would be keyword A, right? Because it says it has 6,000 search volume. But then look at in his own chart, the Jungle Scout numbers for those same keywords. Keyword A, only 3,000 search volume. So the number is way far off. But again, nothing wrong with a number being off. That's not what's important. The importance is the order. But his keyword B, Jungle Scout's keyword B, was 4,000 search volume. So it actually not only was way off on the search volume, it was prioritized in the wrong order. So if you were going by Jungle Scouts, you would have prioritized keyword B, because keyword B has 4,000 search volume. And keyword A only had 3,000, but guess what? Search query performance was completely opposite. So he thought he was like maybe trying to hype up Jungle Scout's supposed 5% accuracy, but actually he was exposing something where it's off. Now, as I started reading this more, and I found, this entire thing was off, because he was taking Jungle Scout's search volume from right now, or the last time Jungle Scout checked, which was August 10th, okay? He was comparing it to search query performance all the way from July 1st through the end of July. So we're not even talking about an apples versus apples comparison here. So like, again, this whole original post, kind of like a waste of time here. But what happened is people started jumping on this, and that was what made me mad. And nobody checked this. It's like all these people jumping on this post and saying, yeah, this is exactly what we see, and we find the same numbers ourselves. And another person said, is reposting this and saying, look at how accurate Jungle Scout and Data Dive are, but this whole thing was just a ridiculous post in the first place. And none of these respected people should have been posting this information. I'm sure maybe I'll do that sometimes. Maybe I'll just get so happy that somebody's hyping up Helium 10 and maybe I don't fact check. But if it has to do with like throwing a competitor under the bus, you're never going to find me throwing a competitor under the bus if I haven't like fact checked everything. Like I literally spent the last 48 hours fact checking all of this before I make this podcast here to make sure I'm doing my due diligence and I'm not putting out misinformation. And that's what I would expect others to do as well. But again, regardless of all these numbers being wrong, the whole premise of this was wrong, even if he picked the perfect numbers, because he's trying to compare things to Helium 10, which is based on normalized searches, and Search Screen Performance is based on denormalized, and Jungle Scout is denormalized too, and Data Dive, because they've been open to say, hey, we're comparing ourselves to Search Screen Performance. So they actually said that they were changing to denormalized a couple like about a year and a half ago. Now let's get a little bit more into the history of search volume on Amazon so you can kind of understand how we got to this normalized versus denormalized. Now Amazon years ago, like 2018, around there, actually made a search volume that is normalized, the actual number that Helium 10 designed its algorithm after. It was available in the API to like software tools, and Helium 10 was the very first one to get access to it. And so we've got the most historic search volume data out there. Now, normalized means how many times pretty much somebody typed in a search term. So if I search coffin shelf right now, that's one search. But then if I search that same keyword 10 hours from now, within 24 hours, the search volume that Amazon counts as normalized means it still only counts as one. If I click to page 2, it only counts for one. If I click back on my browser after I was on page 2, it still only counts as one. There's only one search that somebody did in 24 hours. Now, denormalized means, hey, I search coffin shelf right now, there's one search. I click on a product on that page. I click back on my browser. Guess what? That's another search. I click another product and I click back. There's another search. There's 3 searches now. I click to page 2 of the search results. Guess what? That's counted as a search. Now we're up to 4. 5 hours later, I come back to my computer and I search again that same exact keyword. Guess what? That's 5. I hit refresh on my browser for whatever reason. Guess what? That's 6. So denormalized means it's counting 6 searches, 6 search volume for that one individual. Whereas normalized, which is what the original Amazon search volume is based off of, it's only counting 1. Now, before, when Amazon first started Product Opportunity Explorer and Search Screen Performance, Amazon still was basing their search volume on normalized searches. But then they made this big announcement all over the place in about April, May of 2023 that says, hey, we are changing our model. This was plastered all over the place in Search Screen Performance. We're changing our model to be denormalized. And they explained exactly what denormalized meant. And that was like what I was talking about. And so what was the difference in the search volume number once Amazon moved to it? I actually have some screenshots. Take a look at this. This is from a post I made because I used to talk about denormalized and normalized all the time. So here's a post I made in one of our Facebook groups. If you look at the coffin shelf niche, all of the keywords put together for 360 days was 85,000 searches. That's the normalized search volume. But then Amazon changed Search Screen Performance and Opportunity Explorer to denormalize. And now what was a 360-day search volume? Take a look at this screenshot here. 406,000. It was like a 5-to-1 difference almost. You see how big of a difference that made it when they went to the normalized? And so again, this is why I was thinking that, hey, all these respected, executives in the industry, they know this stuff. I mean, that was all over Amazon. I'm sure they've got to know these things. And we were not hiding this. I would just talk about this nonstop. Episode 433 of this podcast, you'll see I talked about the normalized versus denormalized. Episode 435 of the podcast, episode 485, I actually had the search query performance team from Amazon come on the podcast, and they did a complete breakdown of what normalized versus denormalized meant. Even up to like a month ago, I had Mansoor on the podcast. He was talking about normalized versus denormalized in episode 584. So this is not like some industry secret, all right? Everybody should know what normalized versus denormalized means, and that Helium 10 has always been based on the normalized. Now, you might ask me, like, which one is better? Now, that's a subjective thing. Everybody can like their own kind of search volume, but for me, I like the normalized searches better because to me, that's more of an indication of what I'm trying to get at. I'm trying to find out how many customers are searching for this product, and the normalized will count that search volume as 1. but the denormalized counts it as 5 or 6 just because they're clicking around on the browser. So to me, the more accurate number is the normalized search because, it tells me, hey, in this one instance, there's one customer who is looking for it, or there was 100 customers who are looking for it. Whereas on the other one, I'm not sure how many times somebody was clicking around. That number just is kind of inflated. So that's why I personally like normalized. But hey, if somebody might have a use case for denormalized, I'm not sure what it would be, but let me know why you think that one might be better. Either way, you're still going to be able to prioritize. It shouldn't be that far off. But yes, search query performance is going to be different than brand analytics, Amazon versus Amazon data, even though it's both from Amazon because it's normalized versus denormalized. That's why the order is actually different even when you're comparing those two. So again, that's one of the reasons why I was getting so upset that they were all posting about this is because it's not, we're not even talking about like comparing apples to apples. It's kind of like in this post, everybody was jumping on the bandwagon and saying, hey, look at Jungle Scout is a tangerine orange, very close to a blood orange, right? Ooh, that's very nice that they're close. Great. You're comparing an orange to an orange. Good on you. But then they were coming in and saying, oh, but look, Helium 10 is an apple or a Granny Smith apple. Look how far off it is from this blood navel orange. Like, why are we even comparing this Granny Smith apple? We're not even trying to be an orange. You see what I did there with Jungle Scout orange? Anyways, we're not even trying to be an orange. We're just trying to be an apple. That's all we're trying to do. It's like, why are you trying to bring us into this conversation about oranges? All right. So that was why I was getting so upset. But now I was like, you know what? Let's go and let's do a real test. Like here, I think we all agree that how bogus this test that was done was and how useless it is. But I'm like, all right, let's go ahead and take brand analytics. Let's compare that to Helium 10. Let's take search query performance. Let's compare it to Jungle Scout. And who has the most accurate search volume? Who has the most actionable search order? So what I did was I spent like much of the last 48 hours just like diving deep into their information. All right. I pulled in the brand analytics search frequency rank for 31 keywords that have to do with like coffin shelves and stuff. All right. I took the search query performance from each week, the exact week that matched the brand analytics. And then 4 weeks, I pulled out all of these keywords one by one because I'm an idiot who doesn't know how to use pivot tables and VLOOKUPs and stuff. So I took these one by one, the search ones. Because remember, that one guy's test was based on a number from July. I'm like, no, let's make it apples to apples. Here's Jungle Scout's number as of 8/10, which is a full month number. Let's take the 8/3 to 8/10 search query performance. Let's take the 7/28 to 8/3. Let's add up those 4 weeks and make it a month and let's compare it. All right. So I took all of that. I went in and I took all of the Jungle Scout numbers. I went into Helium 10 and I took all of the magnet numbers for the search volume. And I was like, all right, let's go ahead, put this stuff to the test. And then so let's take a look. All right. So first of all, why do I say, where did I get that? It's 93.5 accuracy for Helium 10. Well, remember, there is no public search volume that you can compare 1v1 the number of Helium 10. But what kind of normalized search do we have in Amazon that we can compare with Helium 10? Brand analytics. So here, the first test I did was I took the brand analytics 31 keywords that have to do with coffin shelves, and then I took Helium 10 and I got all the search volume of those same exact keywords. And then I sorted brand analytics keywords in the search frequency rank order, because that means, the higher or the lower the number of search frequency rank, the more that it's searched, right? And then I ordered the Helium 10 one in the order of descending search volume order. And guess what? It was almost identical. The first 29 keywords was 100% the exact same order. Only on the 20 or the 30th keyword here did things get out of whack, and 2 of them were flipped. Coffin pet bed and glass coffin, Helium 10 had in the wrong order compared to Amazon brand analytics. So that is a 93.5% accuracy. How cool is that? All right. Only 2 off. So can you trust Helium 10 search volume? Is Helium 10 accurate? 100%. Well, maybe not 100%, 93.5%. All right. So there, that part of the story is done. Helium 10, 93.5% accuracy if you're comparing it to the only normalized data point we have, which is brand analytics. Now, what about Jungle Scout? With Jungle Scout, what I did was I took all of the search query performance for 4 weeks. All right. I took 4 exact weeks and added it all up. So we have a full 30-day or 1 month search volume number. Goth, 121,000. Gothic decor, 100,000, so on and so forth. And then I took the Jungle Scout search volume from the tool, their 30-day search volume. So here in Jungle Scout, you can see where I got that information of 83,903. This is the exact search volume 30-day for the keyword goth. And if I actually click on their details, I can see when that date was from, because the very last date that they have in the system is August 10th. Okay, so we are like on a apples to apples comparison here, because search query performance was also based on the month ending October or August 10th. And so the first thing, remember, Jungle Scout, Data Dive, everybody loves to compare. Jungle Scout is so accurate compared to search query performance. Let's look at the raw number. Remember, spoiler, like I said before, like I don't think the number is the most important thing, but if you guys are going to flaunt your accuracy, is that really true? Let's take a look. If you compare the month search volume of search query performance versus Jungle Scout, on average, look at this, it's 44% off, 46% off, 44% off, 71% off, 84% off. As a matter of fact, on average, it's a total of 34.5% off. Okay, 34.5% off is the number. But what if you say, okay, forget about the search volume number, search volume, actually, I don't think that 34.5% is that bad. If something has 10,000 searches, and then it really has 7,000, is that the end of the day? Probably not, right? But again, I'm just calling this out because they're trying to say, oh, our numbers and our data shows that we're 5% off, always. No. All right. Now, the other thing is, remember, I said that search position, the order of search, is actually arguably more important than the search volume. So how off was Jungle Scout compared to search query performance? The very first 11 keywords, Jungle Scout was 100% on, but then things got off the rail and almost every other keyword was out of order. For example, coffin box was the 17th most searched term for Jungle Scout, but it was the 12th most searched term for search query performance. And that is where I got the number of 41.9% accurate, because only 13 out of 31 had the right order of keywords, 41.9%. How many did Helium 10 have when compared to brand analytics? 29 out of 31, which is the 93.5%. So again, whose search volume is more accurate between Data Dive and Jungle Scout and Helium 10? Helium 10 wins with 93.5% and Jungle Scout with 41.9%. But then something was bothering me. Let me show you exactly what I mean. So what was bothering me was when I looked at the Jungle Scout search volume history, I noticed that week by week, they actually had a weekly search volume, which I thought was actually pretty cool. I was like, oh, that's nice. They give you the exact search volume for 30 days, but then weekly. But then it didn't add up. Like if you add up these last 4 weeks, it does not add up on Gothic Decor to 68,000. I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. How can the week be different? And I was thinking, oh, maybe it's 28 days. And so they need to, there's 2 days extra. And I couldn't get it to like jive. But then I figured out what Jungle Scout's doing. And they're actually doing something similar to Helium 10. They're actually basing their monthly search volume on a weekly velocity of the last 7 days, which is actually, like I said, that's what Helium 10 is doing. And that's good on Jungle Scout for figuring that out, that's the best way to present it. But, you might be confused if you might think that Jungle Scout was doing something weird in the numbers because the monthly doesn't add up to what the weekly is. But watch this. This is what I figured out. Look at the very last week of this Gothic Decor keyword had 15,982. If we take 15,982 divided by 7 days, all right, and then we multiply that by 30 days, that is the number, 68,494, and that's what their exact search volume for the full month is. So then I thought, wait a minute, maybe I was shortchanging Jungle Scout on this. I was just taking their number at raw data, their exact 30-day number, and comparing it to 30-day search query performance. But if their real number is the week search volume, because that's what it seems like they're basing their whole month off, I should just be comparing apples to apples and compare their latest week to search query performance's latest week, right? Again, if they're trying to be search query performance, that would be a better comparison. So I was like, who knows? Maybe the numbers are going to look better. Did it? Let's take a look. The first thing that I tested was just the percentage off on the week. So again, I'm comparing the Jungle Scout super specific week number with the search query performance week number, and it was off 48%. It was 48% lower than search query performance. I'm like, nope, no help there. This is actually worse. This actually made it worse now that I got the real number, because remember, their month data for whatever reason was only off by 34%. This is off by 48%. So then the next thing I was like, okay, well, let me go and maybe the order is a little bit better. If I'm comparing the 1 week to the other week, is the order of the search volume at least better than before? Nope. 35.4% accuracy. Jungle Scout and Data Dive versus Search Create Performance, even when you're just comparing the week. So no matter what way you spin this around, well, no matter what way you look at it, Jungle Scout and Data Dive are just way, way off from Search Create Performance. Now, I don't mean to sound like I'm exaggerating. I've said this a few times before. I don't think numbers being far off is that big of a deal. Like if you're 30% off, you're within the realm of possibility. But again, I'm bringing this out because, oh my God, do you know how many blogs Jungle Scout has come out with saying, oh, we are 5% more accurate than Helium 10, 11%. This is a big deal. And they're making a big deal out of 11% or something, which I don't agree with those numbers in the first place. But even so, how can they be saying that when all their search volume numbers are literally 30% off and Helium 10 is 93% accurate? So anyways, guys, hope you guys, stuck with me to the end. I usually don't get so worked up like this, but I used to argue on the internet all the time. That was how I got discovered at Helium 10, was I would always go in Facebook groups and start arguing with people who had misinformation. And I've kept to myself for a while, but this latest episode just kind of upset me. And I was just like, I just want to set the record straight. Again, I don't have anything personal against anybody involved in this people writing the blogs or the people, posting on LinkedIn and stuff. But it's my advice to every, people out there who are respected, like there are people, I guess I'm one of them. Like it's still kind of strange for me to think like that, but if you're a public figure in the Amazon world or any world, be careful what you post. Like be proud of your company. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, you've worked really hard to build up your company in the Amazon ecosystem. By all means, be proud of it. I'm proud of my company. Otherwise, why would I put a Helium 10 logo on my basketball court and do all the other crazy stuff I do? Nothing wrong with being proud of your company, but don't put out misinformation just to, kind of like elevate your company or I would hope that nobody even here is doing that purposely. But then the alternative, if it wasn't on purpose, it means that you're just like not even fact checking and not even making sure that you're putting out the correct information because you just want to, hype yourselves up and try and throw Helium 10 under the bus. All right. It doesn't even have to be Helium 10. I don't care who we're talking about. It could be Jungle Scout versus Data Dive, right? Or whatever, comparison you're going to do is, guys, just let's keep it civilized, talk about facts if you want to talk about facts, but don't try and sensationalize, certain things and paint the wrong picture, because people listen to those of us who have these kind of platforms on the internet and they take our word at face value. Right. And so that's a heavy responsibility, and I'm not saying that we're all perfect. I'm sure I've maybe made some mistakes out there, but I don't think I've ever done something like this where I'm just going to totally misrepresent the entire way that a company does things or misrepresent my own accuracy, and just hope that nobody calls me out on it. But anyways, hope you guys found this interesting, because like I said before, search volume is important and you got to know who you can trust. And I think it's hands down, this is proven that, hey, you are going to be able to trust Helium 10 with your search volume, because we've got the most accurate out there at 93.5%. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I'm going to do some other exposés now because I'm still riled up about some of these crazy blogs. It's time to set the record straight, but hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you in the next one.